Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So today's video, we're going to try and keep it short and sweet for you and tell you everything that you need to know about heading into the New York Open. New York will be returning back from a bank holiday, President's Day. And usually when New York returns from a bank holiday, price action can be a little bit tricky to navigate. So if you want to know what Bitcoin's going to be doing as we head into the open of the New York session, make sure you stick around because halfway through this video, I'm going to break down price action on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, and a few assets from the legacy markets such as Euro, NASDAQ, and of course, we're going to dive into gold because that bad boy doesn't look like it wants to stop going higher. Now, with that being said, let's get with the program and understand exactly what's going on in the market and what we can expect. So in the market today, we don't really have any major news announcements that are being put out other than the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Unless Trump also decides to say, you know what, I fancy having a conversation with the world today, then it looks like it's going to be a quiet day across the board. In terms of earnings, we don't have any major companies declaring their earnings today. We have some energy stocks that are coming out declaring their earnings, but nothing like the Magnificent Seven, which are deemed as massive market movers when they do declare their earnings. Now, with that being said, going into what's going on in the stock market, this is really the main thing that's happening. The dollar has strengthened against its group of 10 peers. Now, when the dollar starts to go up, that's because investors could be seeking a safe haven. Now, we did get some comments yesterday from Mr. Waller suggesting that recent economic data supported keeping the US interest rates on hold until progress was seen in inflation. What kind of progress? Progress to the upside or to the downside? Because inflation has come up. Now, if inflation keeps on staying in its range that it stays at, then there's a good chance that we're going to have interest rates on hold for quite some time. Remember, going into the start of February, rate swap traders were in the expectation that we were going to get cuts in May and July. Then they changed those bets to cuts in December because of what Powell was saying, and of course, because Trump and these tariffs are going to have an impact on inflation. Now, with that being said, let's go and have a look at what's going on across the board in terms of the market. So we've got the S&P and the NASDAQ trading close towards their all-time highs. S&P nearly clearing its all-time high going into last week, but it has shown good strength to mark higher. Going into the NASDAQ, so close towards its all-time high, it's yet to take that. Now remember, the reason why NASDAQ and the S&P are moving up is because of what? People have a great expectation from earnings from companies. 77% of all the companies that have declared their earnings have smashed their expectations. So investors are like, well, if these companies are doing great, that means people are spending money, businesses are communicating, people are buying and selling, and that is naturally being shown in the earnings per share in all these companies that are declaring, hitting their estimates and more. So that's what's fueling the stock market. If you're trying to work out how is it fueling the market to going higher, we've got tariffs coming into play, which aren't really effective until April the 2nd, but the market's just like, who cares? We've got inflation, we've got high interest rates, the markets are absorbing it, the economy is absorbing it. But remember, the economy is not the market, and the market is not the economy. But looking at investors, you can see that they don't care what's going on. Now, with that being said, we're going to go into other assets like gold. Now, gold is really giving us an idea that investors are sort of concerned about where things are heading. Now, Goldman Sachs has put out a projection on gold suggesting that maybe a $3,100 an ounce for gold is on the cards. And when you're looking at gold price action, for anybody that does trade gold, always pay attention to key moving averages and how price reacts at those points. You can see here, price had made a move to the downside on the red vector candle, but failed to break the actual 50 EMA, which in my eyes, I look at that and see it as hedge fund managers loading up on gold as low as they can at the highest range with the intention of selling gold later on. So they're preparing for another hedgeable event, which means that gold's price should in principle continue to move up to the upside. Now, this is all about vector candles and the hybrid system. And if you are new and you haven't gone and checked it out already, go over to the Traders Reality website and take this course. This course right here talks about the hybrid system where you learn all about it. It's free to do, so get involved with that. Now, if you do want to expand your learning on that, go over to the actual Platinum membership, take advantage of that where you get trade set up similar to this one right here. Yesterday, we projected Bitcoin on the same principle of gold coming back into the red vector candle recovery. We had the same logic with Bitcoin yesterday, and we were looking for Bitcoin to try and claim out this 4-hour red vector candle high. This is on the 1-hour time frame, but we were expecting Bitcoin to mark up yesterday to recover the imbalances that were present inside of this range. Quickly going over into Bitcoin price action, you can see that they did that, and this is what we had from yesterday. And it was quite tricky yesterday, given that Bitcoin did pump up. This is on the 4-hour time frame. Quickly go over to the 1-hour chart, and then I'll get into Bitcoin price action very shortly. It was this move right here. So we had looked at Bitcoin to try and come back up and recover this red vector candle region, and the entries were inside of this range around the 96,000 region, to then see price come back up and hit that point. Happy days. Go to the 4-hour time frame, and you can see that they came back and recovered that 4-hour red vector candle region right there around the 97,044 is what price hit, and we were looking for Bitcoin to come and hit 97,056. So that was a nice projection that came through to start the week off. You want to get involved in that? Check out the Platinum membership. Everything you need is in the description of this video. Now, going into cryptocurrency, before we then get into the open of the markets and, of course, what to expect with Bitcoin. This story right here, a new scam is on the rise. So I'm just saying this as a little bit of a warning to you all. Just be mindful. It's not something new, but the strategy is simple. Now, these scammers will try and contact you and tell you that your wallet has been compromised. Ignore it. Don't click any of the links. If you get a text message saying it's Coinbase, don't. If you get a phone call, just ignore it. Look at your balance, and if your balance is good, then happy days. Do not entertain any links, any emails, because it's their way of getting into your phones, into your computers, all right? So just be very careful with anyone that contacts you about your crypto saying there is a problem. Ignore it, look at your balance, and just make sure that it's still there. Happy days. Dan Crypto Trades has put out something very interesting. He says here that there is indeed a full retrace in price and open interest, which also lost most of the 1.5 billion, which was added during the run up. Like mentioned yesterday, it's going to be difficult to see if a massive amounts of longs being opened on the slightest green day. It will need tremendous spot bid to sustain that price action. That's something we don't have right now. Well, let's just go and have a look at what's going on in terms of bids. And this is where we get into Bitcoin price action. Check this out. Going into the Coinank, you can see here that we have had quite a significant amount of bids coming into play with Bitcoin. When I zoom out of this, I like to look at it and say, where's the buying? The buying is the bright green. See that there? 12 million was purchased at 97,300. You see this right here? We've got 30 million purchased at 95,300. And we've also got some more orders inside of this area right here, which are showing commitment on investors to come in. You got 1.93 million at 94,900. You also got 9.49 million at 95,000. Go down a little bit further. We do have some more bouts right there. We had 6 million just a second ago. Where is it? I can't find it anymore. But there was 6 million inside around this 94,400 zone. We've got another big pool liquidity right there, 5 million at 94,100. So the idea is that between 95,000 and 94,000, that's where we're going to be seeing a lot of interest in people wanting to buy Bitcoin. That means if investors have a short-term expectation of Bitcoin, it means that they'll buy now and then they'll sell soon rather than later, okay? Just look at the amounts that they're buying at. 30 million over here, okay? He obviously plans on selling his Bitcoin. He may have sold his Bitcoin as it made the rally to the upside, which is what caused Bitcoin to move down yesterday. Okay? So the same thing could be happening inside of this range right here. This big order right here of 4.18 million, not massive, but it's at 95,200, could be giving us clues that there could be more room for some bids to come into play. Now, people are waiting for Bitcoin to make a move to the upside, but more importantly, you can see Bitcoin is consolidating around this key 95,000 zone. Logic says that we would expect 95,000 to get tapped and cleared out. Okay, you can see it did come towards that point, but didn't clear the 95,000 zone fully. For us to assume Bitcoin's going to go higher, we need to see Bitcoin clearing this wick. It has to clear the wick because this is where there is psychological interest from investors. Why? Because that's where the bids got taken the most. Go back into the bid and the order flow of it all. Have a look. Where was the last big move to the downside? Well, we just go back in the chart and you can see it was this move over here. Look at this. These are the massive bids. And in those bidded areas, you can see we had 94,100. There was 4.29 million. But there was way more than that coming into play. 19 million at 94,750. So you can see when price drops, that's when people get interested in buying Bitcoin. Now, rolling over to the actual ETF, not seeing any activity over there. Seems like it's pretty quiet across the board. We've got Valkyrie moving, Bitcoin left, right, and center. And there's nothing to be concerned about. I'm not seeing BlackRock selling anything, so there's nothing to be too concerned about that. But going into the logic of where the orders are currently sat in the order book, you can see, what the hell, what is this doing? But you can see that The bids are coming in, but the offers are not coming in just yet. All right. And usually what happens is when there is this ebb and flow of bids and offers, if you see more bids coming in and not really that many offers, you'll see a big spike in price to get people's attention. That will trigger the offers. That will make people want to step in and buy Bitcoin, because when it rises, people are selling. When it drops, people are buying. Well, the people with the cash. And that's who we really need to be focusing on. In looking at the liquidation points for Bitcoin, you can see we're cutting between this 96 and 94 zone. We do have a significant amount of short liquidations coming into play at 97,700. And quite frankly, until a Bitcoin reserve comes out, all right, and something gets put into play and it's solid, and then we get everyone saying, yep, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, I truly believe Bitcoin is just going to be bouncing up and down in between these ranges. It could come back down to 90,000. It could move straight back up again. But fundamentally, I think Bitcoin is going to be holding out inside of this range. People do say that this could be the bottom. Well, what is the bottom? Bottom of what, ladies and gentlemen? Bitcoin hasn't gone up, nor has it gone down. It's just gone sideways. So how do you derive a bottom from it? It's one of those ones. You need to see a drop to suggest that there is a bottom. Right, we had this drop right here. It came straight back up. So was that the bottom? No, we've got liquidity down there. And if anything tells you anything, where the market trades psychologically is where it's going to go next. Look at this area here. This area is clear as day, psychological. Look at what happened. Price rolled all the way back into that point, triggered the psychology. Look at the vector candle recovery, straight on the nose. They recovered that last bit of the vector candle right there, tapped in towards that region, and then they made the reversal back up. The logic says that you would naturally be expecting Bitcoin to follow the same behavior to trigger interest from traders inside of this range. Now, going into the open today, ladies and gentlemen, I strongly recommend that you are very cautious and wait for the first half an hour of the market to open. Bitcoin will shoot up, it will shoot down. You can see on the daily time frame itself that the day itself doesn't look like it's doing too good. It's now trading below the 50 EMA on the higher time frames, and the 5 and 13 EMA. Price is trading below that. The idea is that we could expect Bitcoin to come down, but just look at where Bitcoin is. The area is packed with people buying and selling Bitcoin. So that does mean Bitcoin is subject to coming down, to shooting back up into the range. Unless Bitcoin gets back up above this 98,000 zone and trades at the upper band of the 50 EMA cloud, there is no point in considering any longs on Bitcoin. Now, if you're going to start doing DCA on Bitcoin, then you're going to want to be hoping that Bitcoin finds support within this wick at 91,000. And of course, you want to wait and see if it can actually test this 89,000 zone, because at 79,000, there is an order for $69 million. So those of you that are trying to do DCA, you're doing it on the premise that the market is going to be continuing higher. DCA only works on retraces down to moving averages as they are pointing upwards. An example would be something like this. You've got an upwards market, cool. When price is trading above the moving averages, you are buying in these areas here. This is where your DCA should be. Right here, not below it. You don't want to do DCA below a key moving average, especially on a higher time frame, because that means that the trajectory could be going lower. So you're basically burning money. Your investment, as you take it, is dropping in value continuously. But you're thinking of DCA because that's what everyone in crypto has been programmed to believe. Just keep buying, and one day your coin will be valuable. Well, improve the odds of it working in your favor by getting involved in a rally to the upside, or price is trading above key moving averages and you buy the dips. That's what you want to be doing, okay? So try and do that when you're doing your DCA, ladies and gentlemen. So to put it into perspective, guys, make sure you're waiting for the markets. At least give them 30 minutes to absorb all the information that's come out over the weekend. Keep an eye out for Trump if he does decide to start talking at any point. But make sure you pay yourselves when you're trading, and I'll be tuning into you all later on. Hit the like button and subscribe, guys. You got yourself a little wink there for free. Peace. What a guy.